Romans would call it Episode L. Yep. Celebrating 50 episodes. It's the GameCritics.com podcast. I'm Tim Spaeth. We have, folks, an amazing show, packed with surprises. Let's get right to the introductions. We start, as we always do, as we've done for 50 episodes, with Chi Kong Lu, our founder and owner. Good evening, Chi.
Hey, happy 50 episodes, Tim.
And to you, sir. Even though you actually haven't been on 50 episodes, I have. You haven't. Nevertheless, happy 50 episodes.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm a little loopy tonight because this is the second podcast this weekend that I have done with our next host, Mr. Brad Gallaway. How are you, Brad?
Doing really well and really looking forward to tonight's show after the glowing buzz I had from last night's show. This one's going to be even better, I believe.
We're, of course, referring to our Doctor Who one-off podcast. We had Kimberly Unger, Sanan Kuba join us. By the time you hear this podcast, that one will have been released, so I hope people have checked it out. Great show. The guests were fantastic. You were fantastic as well.
As were you.
Thank you. Mike Bracken, the horror geek, also with us. How are you, Mike?
I am excellent, and I also was not fantastic on the Doctor Who podcast.
Mike, tonight is Oscar night. In fact,
yes, it is. In fact, it's funny. We scheduled this show, and I didn't realize it was Oscar night, and I was supposed to do Oscar stuff tonight. So, so I blew it off for the 50th show.
I appreciate that. I was going to ask, as a film guy, I mean, do you pay? Obviously, you do. Any attention to the Oscars? Do you put a lot of stock into it?
Yeah. Usually. I'll be writing a lot of Oscar stories tomorrow, I'm sure, over at Cinematical.
And since you're with us tonight, you'll just be making up the details, presume?
Yeah, I will just... it'll be the Oscars as I envision them. So, like, a lot of, like, weird Japanese smut will have won, and horror flick will have won Best Picture. Something like that, basically.
Sounds perfect.
It'll be great.
Delightful. Thank you, Mike. And, Mike, guess who's here? Your nemesis, Richard.
I'm moving up to nemesis status. Wow,
you're my arch rival.
I thought it was minor annoyance.
No, it's my best friend. Come on, I love Richard.
So many people enjoyed your conflict on the last episode. So I think people are expecting it tonight, and I'm just looking forward to seeing and hearing the sparks fly.
I believe the quote was, it made them feel uncomfortable, actually.
Oh, okay.
One person said that, yes.
Well, we'll see how things go, and we do need to be on our best behavior because, and I mentioned surprises, here's the first one. We have a special guest tonight. We are thrilled to welcome Sam Marcello of rpgamer.com. Sam, thanks for being with us.
Aw, thank you for having me for your 50th episode, Tim.
It is our pleasure. Now, I must ask you, if I may, working for rpgamer.com, one would presume that you have a fairly good knowledge of RPGs.
Well, I could say I have pretty good knowledge. Not as good as some of the other people on our staff.
Well, I was just going to say, Mike Bracken is our resident role-playing game expert. And I thought it might be fun for you, Sam, to tell us your favorite RPG of all time, and then we'll have Mike rate that decision.
Oh, no. Oh, this is just going to be cruel.
Tim just wants to be the villain of the show now.
Mike's getting the villain edit, that's right. So, Sam, what is, if you don't mind, and I hate to put you on the spot like this, but if you don't mind, what is the best RPG of all time?
I don't really have a favorite all time. My personal favorite, I guess, is Valkyrie Profile on the PlayStation.
Good choice.
I'm a sucker for romance. It is the most romantic game you will ever play, and it is the one that will make you bawl like a baby. Which I did. I cried when I played that game, and my mom was like, "You're pathetic." I'm like, "It's a video game, and I'm crying." But I loved it. Like, it has probably one of the best stories I've seen in an RPG, even if the Norse mythology is a little inaccurate.
I love. I'm glad that you mentioned that the game made you cry because it kind of brings us full circle. One of the earliest things we talked about on the show was, can games make you cry? And sure enough, yes, they can.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic, Mike. So, Mike, are you cool? Can we?
Yeah, I'm good with that. That's a good choice. I love that game.
Very good. Fantastic. Well, Sam, thanks again for joining us. We're going to hear a lot from you tonight. Tonight's topic, look, any other podcast for their 50th episode would resort to navel-gazing self-aggrandizement. Not us. Not until the end of the show, at least. We will do a little bit of that.
Only every 10 years, right, Tim?
Exactly. Only every 10 years in a 3-part, 6-hour podcast marathon would we ever do that.
We would never do that.
Certainly not. But our main topic tonight, we've talked a lot recently and really over the history of this podcast about review writing and criticism, and it's an important topic that I really feel like we've taken about as far as it will go with just the core group. And that's why Sam is here tonight, to bring kind of a fresh perspective, the state of game criticism as seen through the eyes of someone who is not us. So I'm very excited to get to that. We'll also have our wildly successful new segment, Thumbs Up, Thumbs Down, and as I mentioned, some very cool 50th episode surprises at the end. But first, right now, as always, it's our quote of the week. Sound of horses, horses neighing.
I dare you to keep that one this time.
Sound of horses neighing.
You
No
know he's
bad
going to keep
horse.
it in.
You know it's going to stay in there.
I was going to say no bad horse.
Our,
Bad horse, bad horse, bad horse, bad horse.
see?
Sorry.
See?
Right on cue, right on cue.
Sam has come in. She is singing.
She's getting warmed up.
Sam, you can come back every week.
Aw, thank you.
You have to sing.
Even though we only record every other week.
All right, well, here comes Felipe with the sealed envelope, which, of course, contains a quotation from a member of the gaming industry or press. None of us are privy to its contents. Now, before I open the envelope, as you all know, Felipe has been bringing me these quotes for over 2 years. Yesterday, he comes down to my office and he asks me, Mr. Spaeth, since it is the 50th show, it would make me so happy if I could read the quote on the air. And I am nothing.
Wow.
I am nothing if not generous to the help. So I said, of course, Felipe. You may read the quote on the air. And unfortunately, here's the tragic part. Just yesterday, Felipe was coming down the stairs with a plate of eggs for my lunch, and he tripped. He rolled down the stairs, and his larynx popped out. So
Wow.
it was like a spring popping out of a broken pen. So I did end up taking him to the hospital. Well, I had him prepare me some new eggs, and then I took him to the hospital. He's going to be fine, but he's in no condition to speak. So Felipe, maybe for episode 100, we'll have you read the quote then. But tonight, I will take care of it. And let me open now the envelope containing the quote.
When did Felipe get out of prison?
Over the holiday. President's Day. All right. Here is the quote. Dead Island. Felipe, this is 2 words. This isn't a quote. You were amped to say 2 words? Really? Really? Now I have to ad-lib. Get it. Get out. Get out. All right. Well, look. I mean, it's not a quote. It's not even a sentence. All right. Here's what I think he's getting at. Dead Island. I think at this point we all know it's a game. It's coming out soonish. Not sure exactly when. I could have looked it up, but I didn't bother. A trailer for this game appeared online last week. The internet went ballistic. They went nuts. They went crazy. There are some calling it the greatest game trailer of all time. I saw a few people call it the greatest trailer for anything ever, period. And I think a verbal description doesn't really do it justice. But in case you haven't seen it, basically there's a zombie assault on a family. It's told in reverse and in slow motion. There's a little girl. She's being chased by zombies. She's bitten by a zombies. She's rescued briefly by her parents. The little girl then turns into a zombie, bites her father, and is then thrown out a window to fall 20 stories, crashes to the earth. All of that except in reverse. The mania surrounding this trailer was off the charts. My first question for you is, do you think that mania was warranted? And we will start... No. Oh, well, apparently we will start with Richard Nyack.
No.
All right. Let's take a break. When we come back, game criticism. Now, Richard, please elaborate.
I do not understand the hype for this trailer at all. I mean, yeah, it's well made, but that makes it a good short film. I mean, it didn't show me anything that would really make me want to play this game. It just looks like another run-of-the-mill zombie killing spree. I mean, zombies are pretty much the new Nazis now. Like, they're the go-to monolithic evil force that every game uses. So the trailer's got to be... It's got to be more than that to really grab my attention now, because it's just been done so much that it isn't interesting anymore. And the trailer, well, again, I mean, it was really well made. It didn't really show me anything that says that this game's going to be unique. So no, I wasn't into it.
You weren't sort of disturbed or emotionally engaged by the sight of, a 12-year-old girl falling out of a window and
I was not, but again, as we've discussed before, I don't have children, so it's not going to work on me as the same way it would, someone else that does have children.
Mm-hmm.
Chi, were you disturbed by it?
I wasn't disturbed as a parent per se, but I thought it was really well done, and I thought it highlighted how, again, how a lot of the gaming community, or at least some of the serious-minded gaming community, is just desperate for that, emotional experience that we keep trying to describe beyond the guns and explosions and, shoot the guy's face off kind of experience. And I thought that trailer, by the end of it, communicated that. Is the content of the trailer violent? Yes. And is it a little bit exploitive? Possibly. Debatable, I suppose. Especially if you read that article that was on, what was it, on CNN by Omar Gallagher.
I think it's Galaga, but Galaga is...
Galaga.
Galaga?
It's a video game podcast.
It's a video game show, man.
We're going to say Galaga, whether he likes it or not. I have some excerpts from that article that we'll read here in a bit. I guess... I don't understand. I need somebody to explain to me why this trailer had the impact it had. Why? I mean, yes, it resonated emotionally. Yes, it sort of tapped into the things that you said, Chi. But what was it that caused the explosion? For 2 days, it's a trending topic on Twitter. Every gaming website is covering it. What was it about this trailer that did it?
Yeah, because it was.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say, it's like, yeah, because like I saw that, like, one of my friends sent that to me on Instant Messenger, and then like right after that, like 4 other people sent it to me, and then I saw like 6 people posted on Twitter. I'm like, what the hell is this? And it's like, I watch it, I'm like, what is the big deal about this? I mean, like, I just do not get it.
Let me take a crack at this one.
Okay, you take a crack at it.
Yeah, it's what I like to call the battle royale effect, and I'm talking about the Japanese manga movie battle royale.
Fukasaku. Yeah.
And I only read the manga. I actually never saw the movies, but I think anyone who watches that, you immediately relate to the characters. You immediately put yourselves in the characters' positions. And I think that's what makes it so compelling. So I think it's similar along those lines, in that just the way the trailer was done, it's not done in the, Duke Nukem, I'm here to, take names, or, kick ass and chew bubblegum and all that other kind of nonsense. It's done in a very down-to-earth, experience where, you're this family and they're on a vacation and they're getting attacked by zombies, and unfortunately their daughter becomes a zombie in the process, which is horrific. And I actually think it has the opposite effect of what Omar was trying to say, whereas he was trying to say that it kind of is desensitizing us to that. I actually think it's the opposite effect. It actually sensitizes us to the violence as opposed to making that girl just another cannon fodder. I mean, I don't know. Do you guys agree with that?
Well, I would say, first off, I think the reason people went nuts over this trailer is because it's not like other game trailers. Remember, a couple years ago, people went nuts over the Gears of War Mad World trailer because you have this strange juxtaposition of brutal violence with like a slow pop song there. In this video, you have sort of a slow classical music. And then this video takes it one step further by putting everything in reverse. It's sort of like it's like the video game trailer version of Gaspar Noé's film Irreversible, just with like less anal rape in it. So, I mean, because that film does the same thing. It starts at the end, and then you watch horrible things happen, and then you get back to the beginning, and at the beginning, which is the end of Irreversible, you're seeing these people who have this great life, and you've already seen the terrible thing that's going to happen to them. So it has this like totally different impact because you see this bad stuff, it's coming, and they don't know it's coming when you last see them. So I think, though, for me, it's a cool trailer, but I also think it's really pretentious. The idea of the shooting it backwards and the music and all that. It's one of those things that's like really weird about, and I always get in trouble for this because I don't like most gamers for some reason. I just think most gamers are kind of dense and easily manipulated. But it's one of those things, and I think it's because a lot of gamers are younger maybe, but it's like, yeah, it looks really cool if you're like 20 and you haven't ever seen any films or you haven't read a lot of books or anything like that. And that's probably pretentious, but it's the truth. I mean, if I was 20, I'd think that video was the greatest fucking thing anyone had ever made. But as you get older and you see more things, you start to see this is, again, gaming trying to do something like film, but gaming maybe shouldn't be doing that. Maybe gaming should be trying to do its own thing.
Yeah, and then the bigger question I would have is, do any of you guys see the game having the kind of emotional impact that she was talking about?
I can't picture it.
It's a trailer, though. You got to give it, cut it some slack there. I mean,
right, but again, it's one of those things that's like a trailer again that really doesn't show you any gameplay footage or anything like that. It just seems really. And I mean, film does this too, so it's just kind of manipulative a little bit. And that they could have shot anything for that trailer. And that stuff might not even be in the game, so I don't know.
To be fair though, I mean the whole point of a trailer is to get people's attention on the game, and it was wildly successful in that respect. Because without that trailer, nobody would have given that game a second thought. I mean, it's put out. The game is made by Techland, and I believe they are from, I want to say Poland. I think they made Call of Juarez and the sequel and Nailed. I mean, those games. They show a little progression of improvement in technical prowess, but, they're not like knockout games and nobody really pays attention to them. None of them were bestsellers. So who's going to give a rip about another game, featuring more zombies from a developer that people rank as middle developers at best, So in terms of the trailer fulfilling its function, it was like, goddamn fucking home run out of the park. I mean, it had like the entire world talking about it. So yeah,
big time. Film rights. Film rights are sold.
Yeah,
now the thing is though, is now they're going to have to deal with the level of expectation that trailer raises, and I'm really curious if they can live up to that.
Sam, I heard
it won't.
Sam, I heard you try to jump in there. Go ahead. What was your take?
No, I wanted to agree with Mike, actually, but the level of pretentiousness that the trailer was providing. Truthfully, I mean, I'm not the biggest zombie nut, and I kind of turned the trailer off halfway through just because I have a big problem with children being attacked and things and stuff like it makes me squicky and wiggy, and it's not my thing. I mean, I can understand why, people can enjoy what Dead Island's trying to showcase, but for me personally, it's like, I don't want to see more children being victimized in video games, okay? Heavy Rain tried to kill me enough with it as is. So, and I don't even have kids.
We alluded a bit ago to the Omar Gallaway article on CNN.com, and let me read a quote.
I think we're calling them Omar Space Invaders now.
Omar Joust.
Yes, Omar R-Type.
Anyone else?
Omar Radiant Historia.
Omar Radiant Silver Gun. Omar Ikaruga.
Omar Tales of Symphonia.
Oh my God. I was just trying to think of the sequels to Gallagher, and here you guys are going just nuts with this.
Omar Centipede.
Right.
The human Omar Centipede.
Let's getting back to the topic for a second.
Yes, let's go back to Mr. Insert game name here's article on CNN, because it ties to what you just talked about, Sam. And I'm going to quote a chunky bit of the article here. He says, quote, "The video game industry, which has strived since the 1980s to have the same cultural cachet as TV and movies, has found a taboo that can make gamers feel like they're consuming more mature, provocative entertainment. When such depictions are presented in an artful, entertaining way, video game advocates are put in a position of defending content that might be less palatable in other mediums. Would the Dead Island trailer work as a live-action preview of a movie, or would it have provoked outrage? I wonder if our tolerance for virtual gore and bloodshed in games has numbed us to the mutilation and torture of children because they are virtual characters." Almost done. "Perhaps there are some people who like the queasy feeling of taking down kid-sized zombies and space monsters in their video game entertainment. If that's the case, then the Dead Island trailer has done its job. It's horrified me and left me feeling haunted and sad."
I got to jump in here, Tim. Though, I mean, are people getting on Twitter saying they're excited about fragging kids? Come on, that's not what this is about.
No.
You know, that's not why people are and quote unquote excited about this. And I hate to use those words, just as Sam was saying, she doesn't enjoy this. That's not what people, those are sort of limited words, that we use to describe games. It's an experience that people are moved by. And so there's a difference there. Like I said, I don't think people are getting off on the idea that they want to go around killing kids. And that's not what the point of this trailer is either.
Well said, G.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Nailed it.
I mean, the other thing I wanted to bring up was I think we all agree in some capacity that, we want to see more emotional content in our games. We want to see a more broader spectrum of things being explored. I mean, is this still zombies? Yes, but, do you guys see this more fitting into that category? Because by the end of the trailer, that's what I felt. I felt that, wow, that was pretty kind of, I don't want to say powerful, but that was pretty, like, moving just because, you had that irreversible effect, as you said, Mike,
Yeah. And, the other thing Omar doesn't really seem to get in that article is that George Romero killed 2 zombie kids in Dawn of the Dead back in 1978, and the world did not end because of that. Right. I mean, this isn't something new. In fact, I would rather see a game where if you're going to have the zombie apocalypse, there better be some zombie kids in it. Because when I'm running around in like Dead Rising 2 and there are no zombie kids, it's like, well, how is that realistic? I mean. Right.
If you're Oblivion, right? There's no kids in Oblivion.
Yeah, I mean, children are part of the world, and bad things happen to adults in games. Bad things happen to kids. I'm not, there are certainly games that take that, almost in an exploitation film direction. I'm thinking of like Dante's Inferno, where you're like slaughtering the little demons who are like unbaptized babies who died. But I didn't see anything in the Heavy. Or in Heavy Rain, for that matter, or this Dead Island trailer that struck me as like, oh, they're exploiting children or anything like that. It was just a component to the particular tale they're telling.
I think it's okay for people to feel uncomfortable about it. I think that's the point. There's a lot of films that do that also. You're not supposed to like enjoy it. I don't think anyone sits through Schindler's List and says, "Wow, this is just wildly entertaining."
Yeah.
And sorry for bringing up Schindler's List, because I don't know, personally, I use that one way too much. I wanted to talk about maybe using American Me, the James Edward Olmos film. I don't have has anyone ever seen American Me?
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that film to me was brutal. I mean, I saw that as a teenager, and I was like, I never want to go to prison after I saw that film.
You know what it comes down to? There's definitely a line of taste with these things, and looking at it from a film perspective, sometimes there are films like Nick Palumbo's murder set pieces that kind of cross the line with that, with the children and killing them and stuff like that. But there's definitely a line, and everybody has their own line. But from what I've seen of that trailer, it's a horrific moment, and it's not solely horrific because it's happening to a child. It's a horrific moment, period. And I don't really think they presented it in a way that was particularly offensive or anything like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I'm a parent myself, and I am certainly no fan of violence against children in any medium. But I found that trailer to not be offensive at all. I mean, it really stirred some emotions, but in a positive way. I agree that we are supposed to be uncomfortable, and I do agree that it's time for video games to move up a little bit, and I think that part of that would be encapsulating more realistic experiences. And like you said, Mike, I mean, you can't have a realistic zombie movie without having a whole spectrum of people in it. And of course, there's going to be children in any kind of city or town or anything like that. I mean, the kids are all over the place. So, I mean, I didn't think it was any kind of over the top content at all. And in fact, I mean, I almost appreciated it because it to me said that the developers, or at least the people who made the trailer, were aiming for something a little higher up the scale than just your standard zombie frag. I mean, of course, like we've said, I mean, it really remains to be seen whether the developers are actually going to try to incorporate that in the actual gameplay. I really sincerely hope they do. But even if they don't, to me, the trailer was mature in a good way and in a thought-provoking way, but it wasn't exploitation to me.
I don't know what it is about it. Like, I wasn't offended by it. Like, I think everyone's got valid points. I just know for me, when I see that kind of stuff, like, Mike is right. In some ways, you have to have that sense of realism, which means, yes, kids are going to be a part of it. But every so often, I find myself, when I think about little kids and stuff, there's that level of innocence. And what the trailer does is it really does take that away. And that level of idealism. And I think that's what made me so uncomfortable. It's like you're taking a child who's idyllic and you turn it into a zombie and it's like, oh, God, I think I'm going to be sick.
In some ways, though, that almost makes it successful since it's a horror
Absolutely.
game. The point of horror would be to
terrify you.
Exactly.
Can I ask you this, Sam? Is it a double standard? Is this something you would accept in a film but you can't accept in a game?
Oh, not at all, actually. I mean, I think video games should be progressing more in terms of mature content. I've always believed that. At the same time, I mean, there has to be some limitation, I think. I think that if this becomes Left 4 Dead, God knows what, then that expectation for something with a mature story that they're trying to show in this trailer is going to go straight out the window. I mean,
yeah,
there's no way to really look at it. I think film still does it a lot better, but films had years to perfect that. Mm-hmm. Whereas video games are still at the stage where they're still trying to get their fingers and their feet wet. It's like, how do we do this and make it just as thought-provoking as a film?
Right.
And, if you're going to look at something like Battle Royale, well, Stephen King did that first, right? But Stephen King didn't use high school students. That's what makes Battle Royale effective. It's high school students. That's why it's a shock value. These are not adults. These are 15, 16, 17-year-olds who are forced to, murder each other because the government says they have to. And actually, recently there was another novel that did this called The Hunger Games. And they used children even younger in their form of the Bloodsport novel. So, I mean, I still think literature does it the best, truthfully, to provide that level of shock value. But, I mean,
It would be a huge letdown, though, if this ends up just being like, Left 4 Dead 3.
As I say, if this is just Dead Rising 3, basically, right? Yeah.
Right, yeah, that would be very disappointing. I mean,
which is kind of what I suspect it will turn out to be, but it's
like I was saying, zombies are the new Nazis.
Exactly.
Well, it is. I mean, they've, like you said, Brad, it's a marketing triumph, and whatever footage they next release from this game is probably going to have more people watching it than have ever watched any, second trailer in the history of games. If they don't nail it, they're probably screwed.
Definitely. They've set the bar very high.
Here's my greatest fear. You play as the zombie girl, and you eat the dad via a QuickTime event.
Yes.
That's the whole
That's just
game.
what we
That's
need.
the game. You just jam on the A button to sink into his neck, and that's the game. Go Dead Island. Let's close the discussion. That was fantastic, everybody. We are going to take a break, and when we come back, the state of game criticism. Here's some music. We'll be back in 2 and 2. Welcome back. Over the course of 50 shows, we've looked at game criticism from almost every angle. What should a review accomplish? How should reviews be scored? Is there a difference between reviewing and criticism? How do you write a review? And I think we've reached a point, as I said before, where between the core group, we've pretty much exhausted our opinions. But it's a big world out there. And thanks to wonderful technologies like the Twitter and the Facebook, we have connected with many other critics, like you, Sam Marcello. And I know the state of game criticism has been on your mind of late, and we wanted to have you on to share your perspective. So let's start at a 10,000-foot view. What do you think of the state of reviews today? Are we in a golden age? Are we in a dark age? Are we somewhere in between? What do you think?
I think we're in a sad in between. And I say that because I think lately what my biggest problem is I'm noticing a lack of inconsistency. Like, we're very inconsistent in our industry, and there's no excuse for that. If you look at the way films are scored, the way books are scored, the way music is scored, there's a level of consistency in the way which people review, and generally you get a good consensus of what you think a product is going to be when you actually finally take a look for yourself. The problem I have with game reviewers is that there's a lot of insincere reviewers out there. Like, insincere, disingenuous, and you can tell just by the text the amount of love and attention they put towards something they played, whether they liked it or hate it. As horrible as that sounds.
Can you elaborate on what you mean by insincere? Like, in what context insincere?
Okay. I think if you have to write an apology after you write a review, that's insincere. Because you know what? First off, if your opinion is the way that it is, and someone calls you out on it, you have to be ready to defend it. And if you decide the next day that, oh my god, like, people hate me, I need to re-review this game, and then write an apology to such and such company because they caught me for only playing 1 hour for this particular game, you should be ashamed of yourself. And I've seen this happen far too many times. Last year with Jim Sterling having to apologize to Square Enix for his low score for Final Fantasy XIII. This year,
so deserved it, though.
Oh, I'm sure it deserved it.
Why was there an apology?
He scored it too high. That was the problem.
Don't get me wrong here. I mean, I'm on the same page with everybody about the game, but you shouldn't have to apologize for a score you gave. And the reason, obviously, that he probably apologized was because Square Enix probably threatened Destructoid and said, we're not sending you review copies anymore.
And that's the whole problem with the industry as a whole.
Absolutely. They have a stranglehold.
Yes.
However, then you have other people, and I shared this review with Brad because this was actually the one that really actually kind of upset me, was over at C&G Monthly, which is a Canadian magazine, a reviewer reviewed Two Worlds 2. And from everything that I had heard from all my colleagues, from Brad, from other critics, the game was a big improvement over the first one. Like, massive improvement. And this reviewer had the nerve to say, no, it's the exact same game we got in 2007. There's no improvements, no nothing. And it's like, excuse me. I go, did you play the first game? Are we comparing the same game here? If everyone else is saying no, they actually fixed all the things that were broken in the first game, and like, how do you still have the nerve to say it's the same thing? And then, funny enough, he was the guy that got caught by the South Peak PR lady for having only one achievement and played 1 hour of the game. So you shouldn't have to apologize. At the same time, for an example with an RPG, you have to make a bit of an effort. I don't care that you don't like the game, but you still got to put at least 10 hours into it to make sure that all the problems are legit, whether it be with the story, with the controls, whatever. You got to make a solid effort.
So, in your opinion, Sam, why aren't they making the effort? Is it kids, or is it just immaturity? Is it lack of integrity? What's the core of the problem? Why is it happening?
I think part of the problem is, I mean, first off, when I talked to the CNG Monthly guy, because he actually came after me for my comments, he said it was due to a lack of time because he works for a magazine. Here's the thing, I know you guys don't have the same review policy as we do. Ours is to completion or no review. The reason for this is because RPGs have a tendency that after a certain point in the hours, something changes, whether it be the story, the gameplay, whatever. Something eventually changes after a certain number of hours. And I don't want to, me personally, write a review for something I didn't finish and then say, oh yeah, but the story is really awesome. And then when I go back and finish it, I find out that the ending's like horrible shit. I feel like a liar then. If you're going to play an RPG, you really have to put an effort into it. Like, there's certain sites that every time I read them, I kind of cringe because they can't score worth a damn. And Mike, I'm sorry, but I know you used to work for RPG Fan, but that's one of them. They don't know how to score. They don't know how to
Snap.
Snap. You knew this had to
RPG
happen.
Fan scored great when I was there, but no.
No, if you read them now, honey.
Yeah, no, I do.
Because I'm sorry, when you say a game is really, really horrible, but it gets an 80,
Yeah, I have my issues with the direction of RPG Fans reviews over the past few years that have been pretty well documented. So,
well, I remember I read the recent.
Where did you document this, Mike?
actually, I've spoken with like some of the people who write there and stuff like that. So
He's got a notebook he keeps under his bed.
yeah.
Oh, there's no fair to-
Well, I didn't take them up with the world at large, but I did take them up with people who were in a position to do something about it. So we'll,
Do you mind?
we'll leave it at that.
Is this? Yeah, I was gonna say, can you say anything more about that, or I'm just kind of curious, just for background here.
Well, part of the thing is with RPG Fan is that they don't pay their writers. So you're taking writers who basically work for the love of writing and playing these games and talking about them. And what sort of happens with a site that's dedicated to something like RPGs that attracts guys to write for them who just love RPGs and are, really into that. And so they get RPG Fans reviews are currently like a lot of them are too long. A lot of them are too arcane almost. The way some of these guys over there write the reviews now, the scores are funny. Like what Sam says is true. You'll see a review that calls a game, awful and talks about all these terrible things, and somehow it gets, an 80. I've seen that. Not everything over there is terrible, but there is certainly, some stuff there that's not.
Like I said, I'm not calling it a horrible site because I do read it.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly just obviously because I work for the competitor,
Mm-hmm.
but also because, I am curious, especially when I've played the same game as somebody else over there,
Mm-hmm.
and I score it very differently. I always try to look, it's like, am I crazy?
Oh, I always
crazy?
looked at you guys when I wrote for them. I always checked you guys out. So
Well, for most people who don't realize, we are probably one of the hardest markers in terms of RPGs. I think actually we're the hardest. If you look at our average score on game ranking, we're actually lower than you guys by like 1%. Funny enough. Whereas it's funny because when we compare to RPG Fan, they score usually 10 to 20% higher than we do.
I think what happens over there now is that there's a feeling of these guys just love RPGs, and so they cut everything a lot of slack.
Sounds like
But you
just
should-
fanboy syndrome, right?
But you
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely got sometimes has the fan site mentality. So I definitely see where you're coming from with that.
And I know, for me, it's just hard to look at sometimes because it's like, you and I played a very different game, and
So
I don't like when people suffer with problems.
And see, I don't have a problem with that because there's always a subjective nature to any type of reviewing of things. But yeah, my problems more stem from the pieces over there sometimes where the text doesn't match the scores. That's what I always have the bigger problem with, and that's not just endemic to them. That's
endemic to everyone.
That's a lot of places.
Yeah, that's one thing I notice is that the tech is like sometimes I'll read an article saying like, "Oh, this game is so terrible," and then it gets like a 7 or something.
It doesn't make sense.
Or it's an article where, and this is a problem that I really notice that's really, really widespread, is that there are so many reviews that just don't try to make any sort of argument at all. Like it reads more or less like a consumer guide. And it's like, this game has guns. This game has explosions. The explosions are really cool. 9 out of 10. And that's basically it.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm sorry, we can't be having that.
Sam, I wanted to ask, how is RP Gamer different, or how does it operate differently, rather, so that it doesn't fall into the same traps?
Well, the thing about RP Gamer is, well, for one thing, I mean, we use the full scale. We have a 5-point scale with 0.5s, and we use it to the full extent that we can. The second thing is we do a very intensive proofing process. So when we go through our proofing process, there's usually at least 3 to 4 eyes on the piece before it's allowed to go up. That's to make sure that the score matches the text, to make sure that nothing's being skimped over, because our reviewers like to ask each other a lot of questions. We are always asking each other questions before we post something, especially when a game gets a 4.5 or a 5. We ask the intense question of, are you sure this is a 4.5? What makes it a 4.5? Is this something I'm going to remember, 20 years down the road? And that's really how we treat anything that gets a 4.5 or a 5. They have to be something that's so remarkable that you're either going to play it again in the distant future, play it again right away, or, something you're going to remember that you loved so much. And, if we can't justify those reasons, it can't get that score.
So, Brad, that sounds kind of familiar, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, one of our, I've noticed over time that whenever we have new writers on, and I'm not pointing the finger at anybody, but like in general, I think the trend is for people to score pretty high. No, not you, Richard. I'm talking about in general. And so, yeah, as the reviews editor, to me, I always have to kind of question those. I mean, we've had a number of high scores recently, and that's kind of like got my little warning light up. But most of them have been really justified, and it's kind of like you said, if it's something that we're not going to think about in 10 years, or if there's just no convincing argument as to why it does. I mean, it can't just be a good game. It's got to be like remarkable. So I'm totally on the level with you there, Sam, for sure.
Yeah, we also use the full extent of the 10,
I know you guys
10 scale,
do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I actually frequent your site because of that, and I'm very appreciative to see a site that uses the full extent of the scale.
It's just funny how the similarities go. Yeah, we don't go through 3 or 4 editors, but Brad's on the job, and certainly we do, scrutinize the ratings and the content for sure. Yeah,
I just gave my first 1 recently, so that's the full range of the scale.
It's a good feeling, isn't it?
Oh, it's so good.
I gave my first one last year, and I got into a lot of trouble from the developer because the developer got mad at me. His game had this really scary, overly Christian tone, and I kind of said, you know what, it's not acceptable because you're forcing your religious ideals onto other people. I kind of called him out on it because this was an independent game called West. Now, I think I told Brad about it because I wrote in his blog.
Yeah, I think I've heard about it. I've never played it.
Yeah. It just has these very heavily Christian overtones that are very forced upon the player. And if you're someone who's not Christian playing this game, you're going to be very uncomfortable, which I was. And I just kind of outright told the developer, I said, look, you know what? I think you're being a little facetious, and I don't like what you're doing personally. And he was very upset. I mean, there was other reasons why I got a 1, but the story being the convoluted mess that it was, plus Christian overtones, I had to put the flag up for people who were interested in the game to say, hey, look, there's this problem, and if you can get over it, kudos to you. I couldn't because I'm not Christian, And I don't like those kinds of ideals force-fed into me. So, I mean, it was very hard for me because at the same time, I love supporting my indies. I'm pro-indie all the way. I try to support my indie developers as best I can. That was one of the few cases where I kind of said, here's what I think would have made your game work better. I'm always about providing feedback, though. If I give something a bad score, especially to an indie, I will purposely give them feedback just to say, you know what, you don't have to use my feedback, but this is what I'm suggesting to you to maybe fix the problem. And funny enough, I know, Brad, you were playing Aphelion a while back.
Yes, I was.
I remember I scored that game really low, and people got really mad at me. And funny enough, the developer approached me and said, well, you know, your review was the harshest, and I think it was the most truthful because there obviously is some problems with our game. What can you suggest to make it better?
So what about times when your attitude towards the game, it's like, why was this made? Like, why was this released? Because that's how I felt about Force Unleashed 2. Because it's really a scam, is what it is. Like no one can play that and tell me with a straight face that it's a finished product.
Okay, well, I'm under embargo to talk about a certain one, but I'll bring up something with Third Birthday. Third Birthday is the most sexist game I've ever played. And that's all I'm going to say about it. And when I write the review, Square Enix is going to know, even if I got to write a letter to go with it. Another problem with a lot of critics, you get a lot of critics who, when they're out of their comfort zone, they don't know what they're supposed to be writing. And that makes for a bad review, too. It's like they'll give a bad score to a game that they normally wouldn't play. Not because it might be bad, but because it's just something they wouldn't play.
Well, you know, an interesting thing that kind of comes to mind for me, that now that you're talking about reviewers out of their genre, is that in the games review field, people who are like, you know, over 30 are not really all that common. I mean, there are some for sure, and I think most of us are, clearly. But you know, there's this wealth of new blood, and that's great. I mean, I don't want to be like ageist, you know, in a reverse way or anything like that, but I think you kind of have to have been around for a while in order to, you know, play a really wide variety of games so that you can, as a reviewer, kind of adjust your sensibilities and adjust your mindset when the time comes when you have to review something that isn't your favorite genre. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think that because a lot of these writers today are relatively young, and, you know, I mean, you know, I don't know how many games people have played before they step up to be a quote-unquote reviewer. I mean, a lot of these guys are like, you know, journalism students, or they just recently graduated, or they're still in school, and they just like games, and they think they can write. And, you know, granted, a lot of them can. I think a lot of them just need more experience under their belt and to not be under the thumb of being afraid of pissing off a publisher in order to really take off. But in the meantime, you know, like you said, we get a lot of these people who just don't have the experience and don't know what to do with games that they aren't familiar with. And then we get a lot of these, you know, quote unquote, you know, professional reviews come out that, you know, maybe do a disservice to the reader as well as doing a disservice to the game themselves. I mean, it sucks that there's a lot of that there's a lot of older, really experienced people who just aren't in the field anymore. And honestly, I think a large part of that, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's really hard to support a family being a games journalist. You know, there's not really like a ton of money in it, and I think that most of us can probably testify to that. If there was a living to be made, I think maybe we would have this old guard who were like the wise old owls of the review sphere. I mean, what do you guys think?
There isn't any money in film journalism anymore either. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, I agree 100%, Brad. If you didn't say that, I would have. So
yeah, I think there's too many people that are wanting to write and not enough outlets for them. I think so. They're more or less and I don't mean to demean anything that we do, but it's more or less an expendable profession.
So let's close out the discussion with this question. I mean, Sam, you've painted quite a dire picture for us tonight. The state of criticism is disastrous. But let's try to spin this positively. How do we fix it? I mean, what is one practical action that we can take, or a suggestion that we can make to turn this ship around? Or should we just do our own thing and, you know, screw everybody else?
Well, I think for me personally, I think the best thing people can do is, honestly, get other people to read your work before you post it. Like, more than one person. Make sure that when you score something, it fits your text. Because, I mean, I know people have a hard time scoring, and truthfully, I'm in the camp that's just like, we don't need scores. But publishers want them, right? So we got to give a little bit if they're going to give us a free game. Still, I mean, it doesn't hurt to have a couple eyes on something, because other people will see things that you as the writer can't see. And they're going to be willing to ask you questions just to make sure that you're on the same page as they are. You don't necessarily have to agree, but if you're going to give something a 5 out of 5, you better damn well back it up, which is what we're not seeing anymore. We're not seeing proper justification for the scoring that we're giving, and it shouldn't be that way. And I just feel that we really have to get better on the proofing process. We have to get better in the way that we formulate our opinions. We have to have good reasoning behind why we say the things that we say.
Yeah, Tim, I think we mentioned earlier that the assignments editor should do a better job of, getting the right assignments to the right people who are qualified to actually review the games. That would help a lot. Yeah. And the other thing I would add also is to, use the full spectrum of the review rating scale, because the phenomenon that we're seeing has just devalued these game reviews to the point where the folks like at Game Critics and as an RP Gamer, we're the outliers now, and and if more sites were honest and gave more diverse ratings, well, then the publishers wouldn't have give people shit about it, and we'd be able to across the board be more honest, and then the reviews will in turn will have more value, and then maybe we'd be able to support ourselves doing this profession.
Well, I give this conversation a 9.5 out of 10. Well done, everybody.
Wait, where did our other 0.5 go?
We're not going to remember it in 10 years.
Okay, good.
I was going to say, who's responsible for losing that 0.5?
That just got so meta.
It did indeed. Sam, thank you so much. We are going to take one last break. When we come back, thumbs up, thumbs down, and some 50th show activities. Stay with us. More GC.CP right after this. So well last week, we're going to do it again this week. It's our new segment, Thumbs Up, Thumbs Down. The idea is that each of us will give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to something. Maybe it's games related, maybe it's not. Let's show you how it works by starting with Brad Gallaway. Brad, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Well, this week I got one of each. I'm going to start with my thumbs down, and I'm going to give a big thumbs down to parents who don't manage their kids when you go out on the town. I was actually at a museum today with my own son, and I just was horrified at seeing the lackadaisical effort put out by these parents who were buried in their iPhones, and the other one was on a phone talking, and the kids were just running all over the place. I mean, they ripped a leg off of the Tyrannosaurus skeleton. I mean, they were defiling the Native American exhibit and stuff. I mean, it was awful. And the parents were just sitting there. I mean, I'm sorry, but when you take your kids out, it is not time for you to check out. It is time for you to be actively involved. And it really pisses me off when I see parents who don't do that. So anyway, big thumbs down to those disaffected, uninvolved parents. Screw you. Screw all of you.
Hear, hear.
Absolutely.
And to change it up, my thumbs up, game-related this time, a thumbs up to the recent Yar's Revenge reboot trailer. I think this was a reboot that nobody expected, I mean, I didn't see it coming. I don't think anybody saw it coming. But Yar's Revenge from the Atari 2600 is making a comeback, and it looks really nice. It kind of looks like a insectified Panzer Dragoon, and that to me sounds like a win. So thumbs up to Yar's Revenge. Looking forward to it.
Sam, your thumbs up, thumbs down.
I'll start with my thumbs down, which I briefly actually mentioned in the main topic. I've been playing a ton of Third Birthday. Oh my god, thumbs down to sexism. Thumbs down to Aya Brea being a little wuss. Thumbs down to misogyny. Especially the misogyny. I don't like it. And Square Enix needs to get a rain check on how to write women in video games. Actually, the whole industry does, but that's a different topic.
So, quick follow-up question though: is she hot in that game though?
Oh, totally. You know, it's funny. My one of my girlfriends said to me, because I also recently played Artanelico Koga for review, and I had the exclusive on that, which also has some sexism in it, but it's done more in a tongue-in-cheek, funny sort of way. Because the girls strip in that game, like they do their special attack and they strip off their clothes, and it's not quite like, oh my god, they get totally naked. It's just, they overheat, they need to take off their clothes. So it's done sort of in a way where it's like, they take off their clothes. In Third Birthday, it's like, why can I see Aya's butt? Why is it that, like, Tetsuya Nomura thought this was realistic, that a zombie smacks her and, oh my god, she's got no clothes? That's not realistic to me, especially when I can see her bum. Because you think the bum would be the hardest area to get at, too.
It is in real life, I'll tell you that.
Seriously. So
it's kind of crazy how they went from like Parasite Eve to like Onechan Baro. Like, what the hell, man?
No, it really is like that though. Because like even when you see her in the front,
Parasite Eve 2 had that steamy shower scene.
Well, this one also has steamy shower scene, but I have not gotten to it yet. It's just more of whenever apparently Aya takes damage, she loses more of her clothes. I started mission 0 with no clothes pretty much. And then episode 1, I also started with barely any clothes, and I'm like, I didn't get hit. What the hell? I'm like already naked.
I'm just making some notes for our Game of the Year podcast.
I was just gonna say, Sam, you do realize the irony that you talking about it. You are selling this game like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
I know she sold me 2 games this segment. She sold me the Artanelico, and now she sold me Parasite Eve.
Oh.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yep, okay. Why do I always get to follow these awkward segments? I returned my brand spanking new PC today to Costco because it got recalled, so big thumbs down to Intel for fucking up the Sandy Bridge motherboard that was defective. So, yeah, big thumbs down to Intel. Thanks, guys.
That was from the heart, yo.
Did you take all your porn off before you took it back?
Well, of course, in defragging, you got to defrag it afterwards too, right?
Yeah, right.
Standard operating procedure.
Yes. Just wanted to make sure. I didn't want you to be embarrassed.
Yeah, that was a pain in the ass too, making sure all my personal data after I transitioned over. Thankfully, I didn't.
I like how he calls it personal data now.
It's very personal data.
Yes,
that's a great euphemism. I'm going to start using that too.
Yes.
I got a bunch of personal data here. I got to take.
What are you doing in there on the computer, Chi? Oh, I'm just looking at my personal data.
Richard.
Wait. I do have a.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go on.
Sorry, I had a quick thumbs up.
Yep.
Or couple of thumbs up. Wanted to give a thumbs up to the Belkin Conserve Surge Protector. It's a surge protector that when you turn off your TV, it shuts off all the power to all the other outlets, so your Wii won't be heating up in standby mode. Yeah, it basically kills all the standby power. So I actually thought that was a pretty neat product. I really don't know how much money it's saving me or not saving me, but I still like the idea of just killing standby power. Always enjoy that. And big quick thumbs up to the Knicks for acquiring Carmelo Anthony from the Denver Nuggets. And I'm hoping right now that they beat the Heat, although it's highly improbable. But I'll check the score after this podcast.
Richard Nyack, thumbs up, thumbs down.
I have 3. First, thumbs down to the St. Louis Cardinals. It has been an awful offseason. Adam Wainwright is out for the season. It's looking like Chris Carpenter might want to trade out. They were not able to give Albert Pujols his extension. I do not have high hopes for the season or really the next several years. But then again, the NL Central is extremely weak, so we might even see like the fucking Pirates make a run at 300 or something.
I was gonna say I don't want to hear you complain about your baseball team because my Pirates haven't won in 18 years. So.
Oh no, it's difficult for me to get pissed off because they gave me 2006, but still not a good off season. Thumbs up to Rift. I started playing it over the past few days. I'm actually getting into it more so than I've gotten into other MMOs, which is kind of unusual for me, but it's been going good so far. And then finally, thumbs up to the saying "hot peas," which I heard for the first time about an hour ago from Sam. I'm like, that is amazing. I'm gonna start saying that now.
Hey, before we go to Mike, Brad, real fast, your take on the Cardinals off season.
Oh, I'm all about it. I have so much to say. I'm going to have to wait till we're done recording before I can even begin to even touch on it.
All right. Special baseball podcast.
Podcast coming up.
Mike Bracken, thumbs up, thumbs down.
All right. First up, thumbs down to GameFly customer service for giving me the fucking runaround. They obviously don't know who I am, and now they are going to get some really nasty letters, nastier than they've already gotten from me.
Did you say I have a podcast?
Yeah, I haven't popped the podcast card yet. That's my ace in the hole. No, seriously, I don't know why this fucking company is so backwards sometimes, but I shouldn't have a game in the top 5. I shouldn't have my top 5 games sit at the same top 5 and never get any of them for like 2 months in a row, even though I send back 2 games every week. If that's the case, then maybe you should order more copies of these games because they're popular. So I'm not paying $25 a month for 2 games that are like number 25 and 26 in my queue. And for those people who say, well, you can only put 2 games in your queue and that way they send you what you want, well, okay, I get it, but that defeats the purpose of having a queue that holds 50 games in the first place. Enough bitching about that. Thumbs down to me for my masochism. I am currently at 65 hours into Final Fantasy 13. I have beat the main story. I am halfway done with the after game missions, and you might wonder, Mike, you hate this game. Why are you doing the 64 after game missions? Because I want to be able to say definitively when it's done how terrible it is, with nobody can come to me and say, oh, it got really a lot better after the main story ended, or after you got to mission 45 after the game. So hopefully by like Wednesday, I will be done forever with Final Fantasy 13.
I'm just shaking my head, man. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else I can do. I got another thumbs down there too. I don't want to spoil the game for anyone, and I don't know if this is like a minor last boss spoiler, but what the fuck, Square Enix? Since when does poison work on a final boss?
I'll know that for when I get to the final boss now. Thank you, Mike.
Oh my god, the second form is like kicking the crap out of me, and I can't figure out why. And here, poison actually works on the second form of the final boss. Why not just make death work on it and let me kill it instantly if you're going to do that?
Well, hey, think back to Unalesca.
I was going to say, I seem to remember poison working on the final boss in Final Fantasy X.
Yeah, that's true.
I could be mistaken, but I think
you're right. I'd actually forgotten about that. I had forgotten about that.
Because it's the one where you're fighting, what's his name's dad, and he turns into that monster, and it's like him between those those towers that heal him, and it's like you can just poison him, and it completely negates the effects of the towers.
I forgot that. Okay, Square Enix is off the hook for that one.
Let's not let them be off the hook.
Oh no, they're certainly not off the hook.
They're not off the hook for the rest of Final Fantasy 13, including its Chapter 12 opening cutscene that would make Michael Bay shake his head in embarrassment at how overproduced and edited it is. That's all I got.
Mike, man, how much do you hate life that you got to torture yourself for those 64 after missions just so you can say that this game is 100% terrible?
I know. I don't know what it is, but it's just
you hate yourself, and it makes me sad.
It is. It's clearly
I'm just gonna finish the game and then be like, "Okay, done."
it's my self-loathing. I can't help it.
They aren't even missions, aren't they? It's just walking to those stupid statues and getting a mob and going to kill it, right? I mean, that's
and you know what the funny thing is that part is actually better than the game because there's none of the stupid fucking story to deal with. It's just you just go to the statue and get the quest, and then you find it on the map and you go kill the thing, and they give you something, and then you're done. So
man,
I don't have to hear Lucy or Falsey or Cocoon or Grand Pulse or any of that gobbledygook gibberish shit they talk about for 55 hours. So it's good.
I don't even know what to say, man. It's just good God. I just have a real quick one, and just a thumbs up to my dad, who turned 71 today. Happy birthday, Dad. You've never listened to this podcast, but nevertheless, happy birthday. All he wanted to do for his birthday was see the Nicolas Cage movie, Drive Angry 3D.
Oh my god! I saw that yesterday.
Yeah, we went and saw it today, and it was awful. But it got me thinking, as I was sitting there, the credits were rolling, how great is it that here in America, no matter when your birthday is, there's always a new Nicolas Cage movie to see.
Just how Nick is one more flop away from doing Sci-Fi Channel movies.
I can't wait.
He'll be the first Best Actor Oscar winner to do like a Roger Corman Sharktopus versus Giant Anaconda sci-fi original.
That would be amazing.
And I will be there that night to watch it for sure.
Me too.
So
me too.
the last time I went to the theater, there were actually in the previews before the movie started. There were actually 3 previews for Nicolas Cage movies. 3.
Hey, when you got tax problems, you got to work, man. You got to work.
I was happy to do my part to help him out. Yeah. So let's wrap things up here, folks. And as I mentioned at the top, we have a few things to celebrate the fact that this is our 50th show. First of all, a member of our forums, and I guess he's now a moderator on our forums, Random Rob. Our good friend Random Rob, we've talked about him on the show. He knew that I had been looking for a new theme song. And indeed, he actually composed one for us, which is just unbelievable. I mean, how many times in your life has someone written a song for you? And now we can all say that at least once somebody has. So Random Rob wrote this great song. We're actually going to play that song in its entirety to close out tonight's show. So I want to thank Rob for that. Just a lovely, lovely gesture. Wasn't it, guys?
It was.
Yeah, it
absolutely.
Was. I really do enjoy the song. So good job, Rob.
Yeah, it was a good piece of music.
I have not heard it. How have I not heard it?
Yeah, how have I not heard this either?
You should read the GameCritics.com forums. Just head over to GameCritics.com/forums, I think. After that song ends, we are going to share with you a bit of content that no one has ever heard before, or at least hasn't heard since September of 2008. It is, in fact, at long last, the test episode of this podcast, the pilot, if you will. It's about 15 minutes long. It is me, Brad, who I hadn't spoken to in like 4 years at the time, and Mike, who literally we had just met like minutes earlier. And so we're going to play that for you. Like I said, it's about 15 minutes. And to give you an idea of how terrible a host I was, pay attention to the part where I ask you both how you became involved with Game Critics. And I let Mike answer, and then I completely blow off Brad. And, and he doesn't get a chance to answer at all. I just move on. It's really bad, but I think it's an interesting little novelty, a little bit of history of the show.
I'm still bitter about that, by the way.
I know you've been holding that grudge for so long.
Yeah. It's been eating away at me inside. It's like a maggot of hate growing inside me.
Hopefully,
thank God he has sports watching to dull the pain.
So let's wrap this up by first thanking our special guest, Sam Marcello, rpgamer.com. Boy, you were great, and I hope you'll come back.
Oh, anytime.
And if people want to catch up with you, obviously they can go to rpgamer.com, but is there anything else you'd like to plug? A Twitter, a Facebook, your latest movie, whatever. This is your chance to plug your stuff.
You say your new hit single. Heard that?
If by hit single you mean doing a Jigglypuff impression for our RPG backtrack, sure. If people want to follow me on Twitter, my Twitter handle is Merry Go Down. It's named after a folk explosion song. If you want to read my work at rpgamer.com, I mean, I post almost every day, so you can't miss me. The last review I did was for Arts Nelico Koga. It's up on our index. Feel free to read, especially if you want to get your porn on. It's definitely in there. I made some really nasty sexual innuendos in that review. I was so proud of myself that day. So, yeah, just, if you're looking for good RPG reviews by crazy people, come check us out.
Fantastic. Thanks again, Sam. I also want to thank my co-hosts, most of whom have been with us for 50 shows. Technically, it's like 57, but who's counting? Chi, Brad, Mike, Richard. Thank you all, and I look forward to the next 50 shows if we live that long.
We will.
I'm getting old.
We won't live another 3 years.
I don't.
How long did it take?
That's pretty
Do you know
bleak.
something? Do you know something that we don't, Tim? Are you trying to tell us something?
I'm not. I just
2012. It's right around the corner.
That's true. That's
We're all
true.
fucked.
Enjoy life while you can. But most of all, I want to thank the audience, particularly the few of you who have been listening since day one. It's been a fantastic journey, and it's only going to get better from here. So, with that, here is the music of Random Rob. We will see you back here in a couple weeks for episode 51 as we kick off the next 50 shows of the GameCritics.com podcast. So from all of us, good night and bon chance. Hello and welcome to the GameCritics.com podcast for the week of October 5th, 2008. I'm Tim Spaeth, your host and moderator, and I'm joined by the editors of GameCritics.com. Gentlemen, would you please introduce yourselves?
Hey there, Tim. Brad Gallaway from GameCritics.com here.
And Mike Bracken from GameCritics.com over here.
Gentlemen, it's an honor and a pleasure. How many cities are we representing, by the way? Do we have all the time zones covered, or?
I think just about the entire, 3. I think we have West Coast and Central, so we're missing 2 time zones. That'll be rectified next time, though.
Do we have someone to represent Mountain Time? Someone in Denver or Saskatchewan?
Ooh, I don't think we have anyone at the site in Mountain, do we?
I don't think so, but we could find someone.
Gene is in Hawaii, so we even have that one covered.
Yeah, we could go a little further out, so.
That's even better. I don't know of any game podcast that has a Hawaiian.
Yeah, he's actually from Guam, I think, though, but he lives in Hawaii now, so.
So kind of the whole Pacific Rim coverage.
Yeah, we've got Pacific Rim coverage.
Exactly.
It's very exciting.
That's forget about content. That alone will set this podcast apart. I should point out to the listeners, even though we're not planning on publishing this, that I am neither a founder nor an editor of GameCritics.com, although I did write one article. Do either of you remember what that article is? It is published as a feature.
Is it really?
No.
It is.
I don't know, huh?
No, what is it? What was it?
It was that memorable. It was a...
Of course, we feel like jerks starting out, jeez.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was a write-up.
Nice.
It was a write-up of the Star Wars Galaxies expansion, Jump to Lightspeed.
Oh, that's right. That's
okay.
right.
Yeah.
I remember that now. I never play MMOs, so it wouldn't be something that would jump up at me, but I do remember that, yeah.
I just never played Star Wars Galaxies.
Yeah, and that was probably a good call on your part. I went back and read that. I went back and read that article today, as a matter of fact, and if you want to delete that off the site, you just go right ahead. That's one
that
miserable
proud of it,
piece
huh?
of writing. Yeah, bad writing. So anyway, I thought this is just a technology demo. We're not planning to publish this, but if the podcast should become, the planet's most beloved podcast at some point, and I have no doubt that it will, this could become a collector's item. I'd like to find out a little bit about the origins of GameCritics.com. I know you guys are celebrating your 9th year, is it?
I think it's actually 10, I believe. Well, I'm not sure. I believe that things really got off the ground as Game Critics proper. I think it was either 99 or 2000. I actually joined the site in 2000. But I believe that Chi, who was the owner of the site, and his co-founder at the time, Dale, I believe they had a forerunner to what Game Critics is now. I think it was called the Art of Video Games homepage, if I'm not mistaken. And I think they got that running maybe 1 or 2 years before it actually became Game Critics. So I think, excuse me, it's going to be about, I guess technically 9 years as Game Critics.
And how did you both become involved?
Bracken, you want to go first?
Oh, sure. I was actually trying to figure out exactly when I started. I think I started in 2001, actually, right after the site had been up for a while. I was writing at RPG Fan and just covering RPGs all the time, and I wanted to find a place where I could write about games other than RPGs, because spending 50 hours on a game to write a review is a long time, and I wanted to play other stuff. And I found Game Critics and spent some time there reading the reviews, and they were really, really in-depth and intelligent pieces. So I got in touch with Chi, and that was when I joined. So I've been there ever since.
You guys both seem to be the two most prolific writers on the site. I was doing a cursory review, just trying to get some numbers. How many reviews have you each written for Game Critics?
I think I'm in the neighborhood of about 400 right now.
Yeah. I think Dan might have actually passed me by this point. I know I'm over 100. I've never actually counted, but I went on a spell here where I haven't written as many, so I'm hoping to get back in the swing of things and catch up with Brad at some point.
Well, it's not a competition.
Yeah, I think it might
No,
be.
it's just
It might be.
I'm just when he's beating you like 3-1 or 4-1, you gotta even it up a little bit. So he's so prolific, I can't keep up with him.
Well, it's because I only play games that are like 2 hours long each. That's why.
Yeah, I keep playing. I always get suckered in. This is the thing at Game Critics. Whenever the RPG comes along, or the 60 or 70 hour game, somehow I always say, yeah, I'll play that, and then that's my review for the next month and a half. So
yeah,
I gotta learn to play shorter games.
I space them out. I do like maybe 2 a year because I know that when they come down the pike that they're going to just bog me down and kill my numbers. So if it's not something that I've heard is fantastic, I'm like, somebody else can do it. Bracken will take it, or maybe Tara will take it. Somebody else will take it. So that's how I roll.
Yeah, I'm easy. I'll take anything. So. If it's free, it's for me.
So how does this work out? How do the assignments come down to each of the critics? Do you guys basically say, all right, I want to review this, and then somehow you acquire a copy, or does Chi or Dale actually assign the reviews to you? At this point, do you basically get to write your own ticket?
It kind of depends. We had a different way of working it in the past, but I think the thing that we kind of just naturally evolved to is that whenever some games come in from publishers or whatnot, Chi will just put out an email and say, hey, we've got game XYZ here, who's up for it? And then everybody kind of says, oh, I really, really want to do it, or I'll do it if nobody else does it, or I have no interest in that. And then Chi just kind of sorts through the responses, and whoever seems the most eager can do it. Once in a while, if one of us is really on fire, we can call dibs on something if we can make a good case for the kind of review we want to write. But we kind of just go with the flow. It doesn't really seem like there's a lot of conflict. I mean, Brad, what do you think?
Yeah, we have that number system. I haven't seen it in a while, but for a long time, whenever we would get new games in, Chi would send out an email, and you had to rate each game on a scale of 1 to 4. And 4 was like, I'm dying to play it. I have a strong angle for a review. Please send it to me immediately. And 1 was, I would rather poke my eyes out than play this game. So then you would send them back in, and he would then decide based on who had what numbers for what. Would get which games. So it was sort of a thing where you could kind of pick and choose what you want to do, but there were also assignments based on what you said, because there were times that I would send in and say that a game was like a 2 for me, and I would end up getting it anyway. So, I don't know if that's just because I took over Tom's old job of playing the really crappy games for the site or what, but it's usually we get to do what we want though, so it's pretty
yeah
cool.
I mean, and the key part about that is because we're not a for-profit site and no one on staff is really making any money off of this. It's really hard to take a really crappy game and say, hey, you are going to review this now, because you can't force volunteers to do something they don't want to do, right? So the system we have now, I think, is probably optimal for where we're at.
As I say, it works too that we're all we're all pretty diverse in what we like to play. I mean, even with the big titles that come out, I would imagine at a bigger site that when you've got IGN or something, there's a lot of guys want to play Halo 3, but Halo 3 comes out at Game Critics, and there's only a couple guys that would really want to play that and do the review of it, so it's not like we're all fighting over the same games, so it's pretty cool that way.
Yeah, we've got the genres pretty well covered. I think everybody's kind of got their favorite, and there's not really a whole lot of overlap. It's kind of unique.
No, it's very cool that way.
So if you had to look ahead to the releases remaining in 2008, which game are you most desperate to review? What do you want?
Gosh. It's kind of tough because there are some games that I want to play, like I'm really, really hot to play, but I just kind of know in my gut that I just don't really want to do the review. And there are other games where I'm really dying to, tear it apart or, get a review up there and my picture in the corner of the page, but it's not something I'm really, anxious for on a personal level. I kind of split myself two ways, but in terms of something that I really, really, really want to review, I gotta say, I was a really big fan of Saints Row for the 360, and I know it gets some heat for being kind of a San Andreas ripoff, which it is, unabashedly is, but it's good, and it does everything that it sets out to do, and to be perfectly honest, I hated Grand Theft Auto 4. I couldn't stand it. I didn't even bother finishing it because it just didn't hold my attention, and I thought Rockstar went in a really wrong direction, and when I got fed up with Grand Theft Auto 4, there was Saints Row giving me the kind of gameplay that I really wanted. And it's kind of unfortunate because I feel like the game, even though it does a lot of things I think actually better than Rockstar has ever done, it's always seen as kind of the also-ran. So I think for me personally, I want to evangelize a little bit and maybe get some more respect thrown to Saints Row 2 if it holds up, because I think it's a really good game. It really does improve on a style of formula that I personally like a lot. And in terms of the open world kind of mayhem-causing games, to me, that series is the tops, not Grand Theft Auto anymore.
Mike, what about you? What are you hoping to review?
Well, kind of like Brad, I have things that I'm really looking forward to playing, and then maybe not so much reviewing. I think the thing I'm most looking forward to from the rest of this year is Wrath of the Lich King, although I would hate to actually have to write a review of it. So I've spent all these hours with World of Warcraft and the Burning Crusade and everything, and we don't have reviews on the site of them because I find the task of, even though I've played thousands of hours of these games, of actually trying to put that experience into a review is just too difficult. So, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to Wrath of the Lich King. But again, it's one of those things, how do you review an MMO expansion? Because, you know, it's going to take a long time before you ever see half of the content. So, but that's what I'm most looking forward to.
And you know, with an MMO, it's such an evolving beast that you almost need monthly updates, almost as feature articles, particularly with as you said, Wrath of the Lich King, which really releases, patch 3.0 is, in a couple of weeks. That's really the start of Wrath of the Lich King. You almost need a separate review of just the patch before the expansion comes out.
Yeah, exactly. And a fellow WoW fan.
Yeah.
I get nothing but grief from everybody in my normal life about my love of WoW, but it's always nice to run into another fan, so.
I just don't talk about it or mention it. So yeah, I hit Exalted with the Shattered Sun about 8 hours ago, so I'm very proud of that.
Oh, nice, yeah. Nice. I have actually been not playing because my guild was like, over the summer everybody decided, well, we're just going to wait for the expansion, so there was like no more raiding or anything going on. So I've just taken like 3 or 4 months off just waiting for the expansion to come out, so I'll be all fresh and ready to go so I can get to 80. So that's the big goal for the holidays.
Well, on the topic of things we've been playing, just to kind of wrap up our little demo here, let's each take a game we've been playing recently. Let's give a little 2-minute take on it. Who'd like to go? Brad, you want to go first?
Sure, yeah, no problem.
Not to put you on the spot.
No, not at all. I came prepared. I've actually downloaded Orient on WiiWare this week. Evidently, it's kind of a remake of a Japan-only kind of niche game called Orbital, I believe. I don't know if that's actually true or not. But what the game is you start out as a planet, and the only thing that you can do is either attract or repel to other planets and objects that are in space. So you only have 2 buttons. You don't actually use, like, the stick or to move, directly, anything like that. And the presentation is really bare bones. I mean, it's like a black space background. Your character is like a white little ball. You're getting, closer and further away from red balls. I mean, it sounds completely boring and like it's not even worth anyone's time, but it's a fantastic title. I'm like totally in love with it. I think this title in particular, pardon the cliche, is getting close to what I would think of as like truly interactive, like art. Like, it's so beautiful and it's so elegant and simplistic, and yet the complexity of the gameplay is totally there. I mean, no one can argue that it's a really full-fledged, challenging, interesting game. And it costs like $6. So to me, I mean, that in itself kind of justifies everything that's been happening with, new download games, the indie scene that's kind of exploded with all the online services. But for me this week, it's kind of all been about Orient, and I'm thrilled to be playing it. So that's where I'm shooting my love this week.
I am absolutely amazed that you have found something to play on the Wii. My Wii does nothing.
It's
but
so funny you say
dust.
that because I was actually thinking that myself. It had like 2 inches of dust on it until about 2 weeks ago, and then I've been playing it all every day. But I think most of that is the down stuff that I had, and I just went through Order Up, which I think is a really neat cooking game. But yeah, lately I play it for little chunks, and I'll play it pretty intensely. Then after that, it'll sleep for another 6 months. So.
Yeah, that's here. Except that we don't play intensely at all. It just sits there.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to play the thing. I spent all this money to get it, but there's nothing that I ever want to play on it. So bizarre.
I actually downloaded Mega Man 9 for the WiiWare just so I would have something to play on the Wii, just so I could have an excuse to play it. But it's interesting that Nintendo apparently doesn't feel it needs to publicize anything on the Wii as far as WiiWare goes, because I haven't heard of this game, and this is something I'm going to check out now, especially at $6. And again, it'll keep the Wii warm.
Oh, it's worth every penny. Honestly, I think it's going to be probably on my top 10 of 08 list. It's going to be a real strong contender.
Good suggestion. Mike, what about you?
I'm about 10 hours into Tales of Vesperia on the 360. Been having a decent time with it. I've played a lot of the Tales games over the years, and it's kind of weird because I'm not like the biggest fan of the battle system, because it's like that real-time fighting system, and it's the heart of the Tales games, and yet I don't really like it, but I keep playing the game. So this one is really kind of, it's bizarre. So this one is really cool, though, because it's kind of a throwback to like the 16-bit era RPGs, but with really nice graphics and stuff like that. But it's still got the battle system that for some reason just doesn't feel right to me, because it always devolves into like button mashing. You can set all these different moves to stick configurations and stuff, and yet I just sit there and end up mashing the same two buttons over and over anyway. But so far it's cool. It's just like every RPG seems to have this period where you go through in the beginning and it's really slow going, and then maybe if it's a good RPG, you finally get to a point where it takes off and you get sucked into it. At 10 hours, I have not reached this point with Tales of Vesperia yet. But I think it's right around the corner, or at least I'm hoping. So
10 hours and still bored is the kiss of death for me, man. That'd be so long.
Yeah, it's not bored. It's just like not exciting either yet. Things are going to start happening, but for some reason the Japanese RPGs anymore like to put a really long build up to getting you to the main quest now for some reason, and Tales I may very well be on the main quest now, but I don't get the impression that it is even at 10 hours in. So it's a cool game. I'm liking it, but I'm not loving it. But I hated Tales of Symphonia on the GameCube, so this is a definite improvement over that. So
let me ask you a question, Mike, real quick, if you guys don't mind me jumping in. Since you brought up the real-time combat engine, I watched Vesperia for a little while, and it didn't look like anything that was suited to my taste. But my wife just recently played Eternal Sonata, and that had kind of a pretty cool combat engine. Watching her, I was kind of on fire to play that. Have you played Eternal Sonata, and if so, how does it stack up against Vesperia?
Yeah, I actually finished Eternal Sonata way back in late last year. Really good game. I liked it. It's a lot like a Tales game, but for some reason I liked the combat a lot more in it, because it was active, but yet you still had control over every character, so it was sort of like a hybridized system. Instead of being where you just control one character and the AI controls everyone else, you controlled a character and you had a gauge for attacking and stuff like that, and then the next character you took over had a gauge for moving and attacking. So I like that, because I like to micromanage, and I find that a lot of times, like in Tales of Vesperia, that the AI does not do what I want it to do when I want it to do it, so I'm constantly trying to keep myself alive and fight and kill things and have the AI do what I want it to do. I think it works much better in Eternal Sonata. So I would, if I had to choose between the two right now, I would say play Eternal Sonata. So
Good to know.
I have played no RPGs on the Xbox 360, but I am playing the magnum opus that is Too Human still. Met with laughter. It's not a disaster. It's perfectly fine. As a guy who enjoys filling up experience bars, as any true World of Warcraft fan would be, and a guy who enjoys comparing statistics on various pieces of loot, this really pushes all the right buttons, at least for me. It's incredibly repetitive. The story is not told particularly well, although it is, I think, actually an interesting story, just told in a very disjointed fashion. It basically reimagines the Norse gods as a board of directors of this futuristic corporation. And that, to me, is very interesting. It's a very unique concept, but it's just bad storytelling. And I won't ruin it for you because I know you're both planning to put 50 hours into it later. But
absolutely,
yeah,
totally.
Can't wait for the game over screen. Yes.
So we'll have to do a 2-human 3-hour wrap up once you and the rest of the team have played it all. But it's a perfectly slightly above average game that I seem to be moderately addicted to. So I recommend trying it out. I wouldn't spend $60 on it, but definitely worth giving it a shot.
It's funny you say that, Tim, because I actually am a little bit confused as to where Silicon Knights are getting all this prestige and, I quote-unquote respect, I guess. I mean, I know that, I was a big fan of the Kane games way back on, the PlayStation 1? Isn't that where they started out? Mm-hmm. And those were good games, but they don't seem to have kept up with the times. I mean, Eternal Darkness, again, interesting ideas, but, really shoddy storytelling, and the gameplay was, super repetitive. And then to hear those...
Well, we are the two guys who took the heat for not loving Eternal Darkness as much as the rest of the gaming world did, as I recall.
Very true, very true. Yeah, it's a matter of... Yeah, you did do the main review, didn't you?
Yeah. So not one of my favorite games either.
Well, I'm just surprised that anybody even gives Silicon Knights more than 2 seconds attention, because I don't think they've turned out a really good product for at least a decade or something like that. So.
Yeah, I could not get through the Metal Gear Solid, was it Twin Snakes?
Twin Snakes, yeah.
They were involved with...
Yeah, Twin Snakes was, yeah.
It was unplayable to me, and part of it was the cutscenes, part of it was the controls, but I said, you're remaking what I think is more or less a perfect game in the original Metal Gear Solid, and I don't think it matched up anywhere in terms of controls or the way the story was retold or the new voice acting. None of it was up to snuff compared with the original game.
It didn't need to be done. It was pointless.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, I made it through. I think 2 or 3 hours of that the Twin Snakes before I finally had enough. So not a favorite here either.
So, phooey to you, Silicon Knights.
Bah.
Don't get that started, or we'll have Dennis Dyack over here on our forums having us shut down.
Maybe it'll get us some hits. You never know.
I suspect he will
some traffic. Yeah.
He's somehow going to wind up with a copy of this podcast, and you guys are going to get a call next week, and we'll have him on the show next week. We'll see.
Looking forward to
Absolutely. I'll ask him why he can't design a damn good game. What's your deal? 10 years and you still screw it up.
Any final thoughts before we wrap up this tech demo of the GameCritics.com podcast? By the way, we need a name for the GameCritics.com podcast. GameCritics.com podcast is more of a description.
Right. I don't know, maybe we'll farm it out to the critics. Maybe we'll get some suggestions.
We are the wrong guys to talk about. We are not who you want to talk to about naming things.
Yeah,
so,
we'll have to have a vote or something. I don't know.
That will have to be for Chi to figure out, because I'm terrible at naming anything. So I'm the guy who wrote film reviews for years and just put the name of the film and the director, and that was the title. So we don't let me name anything.
Well, gentlemen, it's been an honor and a pleasure, and thank you for letting me moderate this tech demo, and we will see how it turns out, publish it to internally, and come up with something that I think is going to be very, very special. So, thank you both,
Brad
and
Tim.
Mike,
Absolutely.
and we will do it again real soon.
Thank you.
Will do.
All right. Bye-bye!